Hey you guys, it's me Michelle from Awake Society, and I'm gonna do a quick video. Before I get to it, please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. It will help out my video. Now, I'm gonna do the topic of this video is, are you following a path with heart? Now I'll explain that in a brief moment. This topic is directly taken from the book A Path with Heart by Jack Kornfield. He suggests that we should ask ourselves, am I following a path with heart? And the reason he suggests that we should ask ourselves that is because in our modern world, in our Western society, we're constantly being bombarded with false notions of happiness, you know, in social media, in TV, in ads, even in billboards when you're driving, and ads in the mall. We're constantly being thrown at false illusions of happiness, that by this age you should already have a family and have kids. By this age you're supposed to have a big house and a house with a garage and have a minimum of 2 cars. You're supposed to have this amount of money in the bank account. You're supposed to be this popular in social media. You're supposed to have millions of followers. It's just a constant bombardment, like magazines and Instagram bombarding you with like the perfect type of body that are highly edited. You know, it's just the world teaches us how to hate ourselves, and because of that we end up becoming lost in our journey of life. We get lost in finding our path. We think that we're supposed to be working this job that we completely hate just so we could get the dollars in our bank account to go on shopping sprees that are only gonna give us temporary happiness, you know. It's like, oh, you can't pursue this career because you're going to be poor. You can't really eat this type of food because you're going to get fat. You're not going to have this type of body. So we're constantly doing things to appear, like we put a mask on, like a social mask, right? This is how we are to the world, and deep down we're not happy. So the author says, as the author says in the book, are you following a path with heart? Now, I'm going to read to you a passage that really hit me hard, that I really think you guys are going to benefit from. This is from the page 28 of the book. Now, I'm reading the digital version on my laptop, so I don't know if this page coincides with the physical book, but either way, it's on the first chapter of the book. And it says this: several years ago, I was called to visit a man in San Francisco hospital by his sister. He was in his late 30s and already rich. He had a construction company, a sailboat, a ranch, a townhouse, the works. One day when he was driving along in his BMW, he blacked out. Tests showed that he had a brain tumor, a melanoma, a rapid growing kind of cancer. The doctor said, "We want to operate on you, but I warn you that the tumor is in the speech and comprehension center. If we remove the tumor, you may lose all your ability to read, to write, to speak, to understand any language. If we don't operate, you probably have 6 more weeks to live. Please consider this. We want to operate you in the morning. Let us know by then." I visited this man that evening. He had become very quiet and reflective. As you can imagine, he was in an extraordinary state of consciousness. Such an awakening will sometimes come from our spiritual practice, but for him, it came through these exceptional circumstances. When we spoke, this man did not talk about his ranch or sailboat or his money. Where he was headed, they didn't take the currency of bank books and BMWs. All that is of value in times of great change is a currency of our heart, the ability and understandings of the heart that grow in us. 20 years before, in the late 1960s, this man had done a little Zen meditation. He read a bit about Alan Watts, and when he faced this moment, that is what he drew on. And he wanted to talk about his spiritual life and understanding of birth and death. After a most heartfelt conversation, he stopped to be silent for a time and reflect. He turned on me and said, "I've had enough talking. Maybe I've had too many words. This evening seems so precious. Just to have a drink of tap water, or to watch the pigeons on the windowsill of the medical center fly off in the air. They seem so beautiful to me. It's magic to see a bird go through the air." After 14 hours of surgery by a very fine surgeon, his sister visited him in the recovery room. He looked up at her and said good morning. They had been able to remove the tumor without losing his speech. When he left the hospital and recovered from his cancer, his entire life changed. He has still responsibly completed his business obligations, but he was no longer a workaholic. He spent more time with his family and became a counselor for others diagnosed with cancer and grave illnesses. He spent much of his time in nature and much of his time touching the people around him with love. You guys, I read this and it really hit me hard for some reason that I thought I need to share this to you guys. Because all this time in my mind, I know that society, at least specifically the Western side of society that I live in, promotes such unhealthy ways of life, promoting such false happiness, when it's really, when it, because we're only in this life for a certain amount of time and we don't know how long we have. Some of us live longer than others, yet we're so fixated on, I have to make this amount of money, I need this amount of followers, I need this type of body, I need this, I need that, I need this, and we lose focus. Look at this guy. When he was in the hospital bed, just seeing pigeons flying off was beautiful to him. When, if this wouldn't have happened, probably he would have seen a pigeon and be like, oh, these birds are everywhere. And we forget to see life as a precious gift. And it's not till we get like shaken in life that we realize, the form that we're living. Fortunately, this guy was lucky enough to get a second chance of life and live a path with heart. But how many of us die and not even get the chance? And that really hit me hard because, I make videos to you guys promoting a healthy form of life, but I'm a flawed human being, and sometimes I don't live by the things that I say. And this wrecked me, you guys. This passage wrecked me. Okay, and in the book, I'm not going to read the passage because I don't want this video to be too long, but he also states on the page 26 that there was a nurse in her 60s who had grandchildren. She was living a fulfilling life, and when she was 6 years old, a car broke down in front of her house, and people were like, there was steam coming out of the car's hood, and it was actually two elderly people who broke down in front of their house. They went to the garage to make like a phone call to get like a how do you say, in like a tow car to take their car to their house. Now after waiting through a long time, seeing these elderly people outside, this little girl made tea for them and sandwiches for them to eat because they were so long outside. And this moment touched her to the point where she appreciates that moment till this day. And that also hit like a button in my heart because sometimes in our fast-paced world, we forget to be compassionate, and we forget the struggles that people are going through. I'm a very compassionate person, and for example, I like carrying like little snacks and bottles of water in my car because in a lot of the street lights that I stop at, there are a lot of homeless people. I don't give them money because I don't want them to buy drugs, and this comes from a deep place because I have an uncle who is a drug addict. Like, he takes hardcore drugs, and I know that the money he gets is for drugs, and I don't want to feed into that, so I prefer giving them food. But But there are days where I am so stressed that I have to get to work on time, or stressed that when I get out of work I have to make it on time to an appointment, that sometimes I look at them and I'm like, oh, I don't have time. Why do I have to be this way? We shouldn't let life affect us to a point that we aren't compassionate, and get to a point that we actually lose it. So I'm gonna cut this video here because it's already 10 minutes long, but I hope this helps you change your perspective and ask yourself, am I following a path with heart? Am I being compassionate to others? Am I spreading kindness? Because that's what will truly give us happiness. It's not the shopping sprees and the perfect body. It's just being here and now, grateful, and being loving to each other.